In 1917, men came to a tower on Long Island carrying explosives. Nikola Tesla had built it to send messages and perhaps electrical power across the planet. It had never done what Tesla had built it to do. The charges detonated, the tower collapsed, and the remains of Tesla's greatest project were sold for scrap. 26 years later, Tesla died alone in a New York hotel. Outside, the city still glowed through an electrical network he had helped make real. How did a man who helped illuminate the modern world end with his last great project destroyed? Was he denied the chance to complete his vision? Or had he begun chasing something no amount of money could build? And how many minds today are trapped in the same question? In 1873, 17-year-old Nikola Tesla returned home with his attention already drawn toward motion, electricity, and devices that did not yet exist. Then cholera stopped everything. For months, the illness held him in bed and stripped away his strength. The young man who wanted to master nature was suddenly fighting simply to remain alive. His father expected him to enter the priesthood, a respected and secure path that Tesla could not imagine accepting. Weak and uncertain whether he would recover, Tesla asked to study engineering. The possibility of losing his son changed his father's answer. If Nikola survived, he promised he would send him to the finest technical school he could afford. Tesla survived. At the Polytechnic in Graz, he worked before sunrise and continued deep into the night. His first results were extraordinary, but Tesla did not know how to live by halves. He slept little. Cafes, billiards, and gambling began consuming the hours once reserved for study. His marks fell, his scholarship disappeared, and eventually he could no longer pay his tuition. The school removed his name from its rolls. Tesla did not return home to explain. He disappeared into Maribor, found work as a draftsman, and stopped contacting the family that thought he was still studying. His father had once feared losing him to illness. Now Nikola was alive, but beyond his reach. In March 1879, police discovered that Tesla lacked the required residence permit and escorted him back to his family in Gospic. He returned without a degree, carrying the knowledge that the opportunity his father had fought to give him was gone. Soon afterward, his father died. The promise made beside Tesla's sickbed remained. The man who made it would see none of what followed, but Graz had left Tesla with an unfinished challenge. During a classroom demonstration, he had watched metal brushes scrape against a rotating electrical device and throw sparks into the air. His professor saw normal operation. Tesla saw energy being wasted. Tesla suggested that a motor should be able to turn without the brushes. The professor rejected the idea, and the students laughed. Tesla could not prove it. He did not forget it. The laughter from that classroom followed Tesla after Graz. He had challenged the accepted design without possessing an alternative. Now, he tested one arrangement after another in his imagination. It remained through the loss of his degree, the death of his father, and the uncertain years that came next. He tested one design after another in his imagination. Each failed. He started again. By 1882, Tesla was working in Budapest. Sleep had become difficult. Ordinary sounds felt painfully sharp. The effort was exhausting him, but he still could not release the problem. One evening, he walked through a park with his friend Anthony Zicchetti. The sun was sinking as Tesla recited lines from Goethe's Faust. Then he stopped. The answer came to him as a complete motion, an invisible magnetic field rotating, pulling the motor forward without brushes or sparks. He bent down and drew the design in the dust. To Szigeti, they were lines on the ground. To Tesla, it was already working. In Paris, Tesla found employment with the Continental Edison Company. During the day, he repaired electrical equipment designed by other men. In the hours that remained, he returned to his own design. The company later sent him to Strasbourg after an electrical installation failed and damaged part of a railway station. Tesla repaired the system under pressure. When the immediate crisis was over, he used the time and materials available to construct his own model. The lines he had drawn in Budapest became metal. The motor moved. Tesla had believed that once people saw it work, the years of doubt would end. They did not. The men around him could see that the machine functioned. They could also see the risk of spending money on a system that had not yet found a market. The additional payment Tesla expected for his work in Strasbourg never arrived either. Tesla returned to Paris carrying the proof he had spent years searching for. No one followed him. In 1884, Nikola Tesla arrived in New York with little money, no degree, and one letter of introduction. The city did not ask what he had imagined. It asked what he could repair. Thomas Edison was already one of the most powerful names in electricity, and Tesla thought he had finally reached someone capable of recognizing what he had built. Edison hired him. The company moved at the pace of emergency. Equipment failed. Customers waited. Darkness cost money. Tesla proved himself quickly. When the lighting generators aboard the steamship Oregon failed, he worked through the night to restore them before the ship's departure. By morning, the lights were burning again. More difficult work followed. Tesla accepted it all, waiting for the moment when success would earn him the freedom to pursue his own system. Instead, each solved problem brought another problem to solve. His work made him useful. It did not make him independent. Tesla later said that he had been promised $50,000 for redesigning several machines. When he asked for the payment, he was told the offer had been a joke. What is clear is that Tesla left believing his effort had not brought him any closer to the work he had crossed the Atlantic to begin. He had improved Edison's machines. His own remained outside the company's plans. Tesla resigned. He stepped back into New York with no laboratory, no money behind him, and no clear way to begin again. He no longer needed a man willing to hire him. He needed one willing to believe him. 3 years passed after Tesla left Edison. An attempt to build a company around his electrical work ended with Tesla holding neither control of the company nor the opportunity to develop his motor. Then Alfred Brown and Charles Peck gave him access to a laboratory in New York. Tesla worked quickly. He constructed the motor, developed generators and transformers to support it, and secured patents covering a complete polyphase alternating current system. In 1888, he presented his work before the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. George Westinghouse was already investing heavily in alternating current. He understood what Tesla's patents could provide, not simply another electrical device, but a practical way to use alternating current for machinery. Westinghouse acquired the patent rights and hired Tesla as a consultant. Tesla went to Pittsburgh to help turn the designs into commercial equipment. There, every detail mattered. A motor that operated inside his laboratory had to match the frequencies used by Westinghouse, withstand continuous work, and be manufactured repeatedly, not imagined once and built by hand. Tesla worked alongside Westinghouse engineers as his designs moved beyond his control and entered an industry much larger than any one inventor. 5 years later, that industry gathered in Chicago. The world's Columbian Exposition of 1893 was meant to display the architecture, machinery, and confidence of a new age. Westinghouse had won the contract to supply its electric light. When darkness covered the fairgrounds, thousands of lamps illuminated its buildings, walkways, and fountains. Tesla also appeared before the crowds, presenting experiments with high-frequency electricity and lamps that glowed without ordinary wired connections. Years earlier, he had returned to Paris carrying a working invention that no one chose to follow. In Chicago, people gathered to watch. But a fair could disappear when its gates closed. The greater test was already taking shape at Niagara Falls. The project required far more than Tesla's ideas. Financiers supplied the capital. Civil engineers redirected the force of the water. Westinghouse manufactured the generators, while teams of engineers solved the problems of construction and transmission. Tesla's patents provided essential parts of the polyphase equipment selected to carry the power beyond the falls. The machinery was immense. Water drove turbines connected to generators far larger than the model Tesla had built in Strasbourg. The current then entered transformers and transmission lines stretching toward Buffalo. In November 1896, it reached the city. Factories received power generated more than 20 miles away. Streetlights burned from the force of water falling beyond the horizon. The motion Tesla had once been unable to show his professor was now operating inside an electrical network built by hundreds of people. It was no longer his alone. But Tesla's attention had already moved elsewhere. Power was traveling farther than before through networks shaped by his patents. On his workbench, a glass tube was glowing without being connected to one. The glowing tube on Tesla's workbench opened a larger possibility. If electricity could cross a room without a wire, perhaps signals could cross an ocean. Perhaps power could follow. In 1899, Tesla moved his experiments to Colorado Springs, where open land allowed him to work with voltages too dangerous for New York. Artificial lightning broke across the laboratory. Thunder from his equipment could be heard miles away. At night, the wooden structure flashed against the empty landscape as Tesla tested how electrical disturbances moved through the earth and atmosphere. He recorded measurements, adjusted the equipment, and pushed each experiment further. But he returned to New York describing something far greater than a successful laboratory test. Tesla became convinced that the earth itself could carry messages, voices, images, and eventually electrical energy between distant points. To attempt it, he needed the support of the most powerful financier he could reach. J.P. Morgan invested $150,000 in a station intended to transmit wireless communication across the Atlantic. Tesla purchased land at Wardenclyffe on Long Island. Stanford White designed the laboratory, and behind it, workers began constructing the tower. Its wooden frame rose 187 feet above the ground. Beneath it, shafts and iron conductors extended deep into the earth. Tesla had begun with a plan to send messages. What rose at Wardenclyffe was meant to do much more. As the tower grew, so did the cost. The original investment disappeared into construction, equipment, labor, and a design that continued changing while it was being built. Then, in December 1901, Guglielmo Marconi transmitted a wireless signal across the Atlantic. The signal was brief, but it crossed the ocean. At Wardenclyffe, Tesla's tower remained incomplete and silent. Tesla wrote to Morgan asking for more money. He described Wardenclyffe's larger possibilities and insisted that completing the station would open an entirely new age of communication. Morgan refused. Tesla approached other investors, offered new arrangements, and continued construction whenever another payment became available. But the gaps between those payments grew longer. Workers left. Equipment remained unfinished. The noise of construction faded until the tower stood above an increasingly empty site. Its frame was visible for miles, but it never performed the demonstration Tesla had promised. Tesla had mortgaged Wardenclyffe to cover debts owed to the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. When he could not repay them, ownership of the property passed from his hands. In 1917, workers returned to the tower. They did not come to complete it. Explosions broke apart the wooden structure, and its materials were sold for scrap. Tesla continued working, but without a permanent laboratory of his own. From hotel rooms, he filled pages with calculations and announced machines that he no longer possessed the money or equipment to construct. Feeding pigeons became one of the few routines that remained stable as he moved from one hotel to another. When illness kept him inside, he sometimes sent others to care for them. The crowds that had watched him in Chicago were gone. His rooms grew quieter. Ideas continued to accumulate on paper, while the distance between those pages and a working machine became increasingly difficult to cross. By January 1943, Tesla was living in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. He died there alone on January 7th. The following morning, a maid entered the room and found him in bed. A "Do Not Disturb" sign was still hanging on the door. Outside room 3327, New York still glowed. Elevators climbed. Trains moved through the darkness. Current passed beneath the streets through an electrical system Tesla had helped make real. Wardenclyffe never sent its promised signal. Another investment might have completed it, or it might only have prolonged the pursuit of something that could never work. We cannot know. Somewhere tonight, beneath the light of the world Tesla helped build, another person is staring at a design no one else can see. To everyone else, it may look impossible, or perhaps the rest of us simply have not arrived there yet. Tesla died alone. His light did not. His light